Good morning. This is for 7th grade Spirit of Truth, session 3. We start with Psalm 139. Lord, you have probed me, you know me. You know when I sit and stand. You understand my thoughts from afar. Read the psalm prayerfully and slowly, reflect on it. The Psalms are a way that the church prays the Word of God. It's a very beautiful thing to become familiar with. Then you can reflect upon that, writing down your thoughts. There's no one right answer for this. Put down whatever your thoughts are. And then this is a neat activity to do, is the timeline of your own life. Think about the major events in your life. You decide what would be those events you want to put down. And then you can write down if you learned about it orally from another family member telling you about it, or friend, or from pictures you've seen of the event, or from videos recorded, or from your own memory. You can write down those different ways that you know your story. This will be tying into the scriptures. So the gospel, the story of Jesus' life, death, and resurrection, is much the same way. There's lots of different memories people had, stories passed on as well. So learning about the Gospels, you can take what you learned from these Bible facts here and from the reading and apply it to fill in the blanks on this page, on page 27. Okay? When you're done with that, there's a part that you won't be able to do on your own. So I'm going to be giving you those answers now. Okay? So, and this would be from the teacher's guide, which you don't have. So the Gospel of Matthew, many people think was actually written second after Mark, but they were close to the same time. So the Gospel of Matthew was written between the year 55 and 65. Do you know who Matthew was? Matthew was a tax collector for the Romans. He was a Jew. But that's when Jesus called him as a tax collector, and he followed him as an apostle. He was writing for the Jews, primarily to lead the Jewish people to understand that Jesus is the Messiah, and that's his focus. So for the Jews, trying to help them to see that Jesus is the Messiah. The Gospel of Mark was written probably around the year 49. Mark knew St. Peter, and he was also a companion of St. Paul. St. Peter's the first pope. And he was writing to the Romans to help the Romans to see the mighty power of Jesus. The Romans were very impressed with power, so he focused a lot on Jesus' power and his miracles and the urgency of the gospel. The Gospel of Luke. Luke did not meet Jesus personally. He was a doctor, a medical doctor, and he wrote in the year 59, approximately. He knew Our Lady very much. He knew Mary, and so there's a Marian focus in the Gospel. Also, a lot of medical accounts of what happened, and he also focuses on the sacrifice of Jesus. So there's a number of parts there. He's writing for his audience is the Gentile people. A Gentile is a non-Jewish person, so just Gentiles in general. So one of the unique things about his gospel is how it focuses on Mary and the infancy of Jesus. And my namesake, St. Simeon, is in there too, the only place where he has there in the Gospels. Lastly, the Gospel of John. This Gospel was written last by the year 70, right before the temple was destroyed. He was the youngest apostle. His audience was the Christians, so people who had already converted to Christianity, to the Catholic faith, and he wanted them to know Jesus in a deeper way. His focus is on the divinity of Jesus. Okay, and lastly, there's what's called Lectio Divina, or sacred reading. When we read the Bible, there are two different ways. We can study it or we can pray with it, and both are good, but they're different from each other. So you can read about Lectio Divina, and write down those 4 steps from this. And maybe you can go ahead and start practicing it as well. You're old enough to be able to do that. And you'll find it very enriching and fulfilling.